Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Subpar Gamers podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Hey Steph, with my friend.
No, not friend.
Yeah, we're acquaintances. Ty Jinx. He's the other
Lovers. Enemies to
boyfriend.
lovers.
Man, so how's your week so far?
Uh it's been a great week. We were supposed to record last week, but you were sick,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I had an upper respiratory infection, so even if I wanted to, but you wouldn't be able to understand me.
You sound like just a tad under the weather. Not terribly, but
But right now,
yeah, like you can tell you have like a little nasally.
I'm fine.
Oh well, you're sick. I just diagnosed you.
Dog, a sick dog.
Sick as a dog. Yeah, but my week has been really good because I've been bowling very well. So I've talked about bowling on the podcast quite a bit, at least in the start. But I'm trying to take it a lot more seriously. Like I'm working at a bowling alley so I can get free practice in. I'm bowling 3 times a week now, probably about 15 games a week, say here or there. And on Tuesday, I went into my work and I bowled the best I had bowled so far, and I got for a lot of people it doesn't really have any like significance, but a 700 series for 3 games is for like an amateur that that doesn't have a ton of bowling balls and isn't really fully like into it yet. Coming back and getting a 700 that quickly was like one of my huge goals. So I hit that on Tuesday. I shattered it by quite a bit.
Well, hold on. For people out there that don't understand bowling lingo, so in one game, how many points did you get?
So a series is a 3 game series.
Okay, so it's
So
third game.
to get a 700 series, you have to average 233 pins for 3 games.
So that's 233 points, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And I got a
Okay.
decent
So,
bit over that. So I was averaging around 240 that day, which is amazing for me. That's amazing for most people, but
not to jump in, but didn't you get 300?
yeah, so
I saw that.
that Thursday we went to me and 2 other of the boys because your ass has to work every time we need to go bowling.
Listen,
Almost.
um,
Why you have to
my
schedule it?
fault.
It's
Every
your fault.
Thursday, I work afternoons.
What about
Now,
Tuesdays?
now this Tuesday was a wild card. I had no idea I was working afternoon.
Okay.
See,
Well,
some
then
of the
you're
things,
next
my
Tuesday.
scheduling is it's out of my control, so I don't really have
Yeah. So
control
on
whether or not I take off. I know for a fact Valentine's Day I ain't going to be able to bowl.
what day is Valentine's Day? Is that
It's
next week?
2 weeks from now.
Okay.
Holy shit! It's February already. Jesus Christ!
February.
February.
Yes, it is
Or
February.
when I have my Invisaligner and I have like a fucking speech impediment.
So,
Jesus
anyways,
Christ!
on
Sorry about that. Like that just blows my mind. Like literally one like day ago it was like December.
I feel like one day ago it was January.
Motherfucker.
Okay, so on Thursday we it was me and 2 of the boys, and those lanes were so dry. So for those who don't know, lane bowling lanes are oiled with this very expensive machine. It's what, 30 some $1,000 at least, and it's basically just your typical household printer, but it shoots oil onto the lane in a very specific and programmable pattern.
A
S-
Roomba.
Yeah. And as people bowl on the lanes, either just normal open bowlers who come in, throw between their legs for fun and then leave, or a normal bowler, regardless, it still will take some oil off the lanes every time they throw their shot. And it's called breakdown. And it makes your ball hook a ton. So when I went in there, they were hooking an insane amount. The place I bowl at normally is considered like the driest in like it's like the Sahara of bowling centers. And this was like so much drier than it. So I was bowling I, I we were in one of the games, we were just trying to bowl as fast, like trying to because it has a speedometer in the lane just to show you how fast you were bowling. And I could not bowl 18 miles an hour for the life of me. I was throwing it as hard as I could. But in order to strike, I had to throw it like 17 and a half. So
No
I was
cap.
at like the upper limit of how fast I could throw it.
No cap. At Oil Slick City,
Real
I
success.
was throw. Yeah, I was throwing like 25. Like I was like throwing like 25 almost every single time. You know what I'm talking about when I say Oil Slick City, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's actually the place I'm talking about. That's where it
Oh,
was. They changed their lanes and I have a whole new perspective on them because they were dry. We used to say they get oiled in pizza grease because they don't care about the normal bowlers, they just care about the kids.
it's over there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where it was and it was super dry.
Where you work?
Yeah, that's where we were.
No, is that where you work?
No, that's not where I work.
Oh, you work
Definitely
at
not. I would hate that shit. I cannot stand children. Screw that. Yeah. So
kind of one though. I haven't done it for like a month.
you should.
I think December was the last time I bowled.
Well, we're gonna change that.
Yeah, I want to change that, considering the fact that I'm moving in almost 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah, like
Hey, that's all a decent
September,
bit of time.
August, maybe, maybe I don't know.
Yeah. But we bowled 5 games there, and I could not strike for the life of me because I was throwing so fast. I was so off target. My normal speed is somewhere like around 15. It really depends on the lane. Most bowlers consider it a strength if you practice bowling at different speeds, just so you can be adaptable depending on whatever pattern you're bowling on.
Well, it all depends on the place you go bowling to, because sometimes lanes are like you said, they're oil slicked or drier than
drier, drier than your
never
mom.
mind.
Yeah, so I was having a lot of trouble, and I could not strike the other games before it. And then on our last game, I I don't know. When I start sort of like coaching people and like telling them stuff I know about bowling, I bowl better for some reason.
Feeding the god complex.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it clicks because I'm actively thinking about like sh- telling, practicing what I preach essentially. So I was explaining to our one friend basically exactly what I just explained to you guys earlier about how the lanes have different patterns and how they get oiled. And over the course of that, I got the first 8 strikes,
Jesus
and
Christ.
that at that point that was the furthest I had been. So I wouldn't say I was nervous because I knew I was essentially all but guaranteed a new high score. So I sort of like let it was I've always heard stories from my dad and my mom and basically my entire family are bowlers. So they always talk about how basically everyone who's going up for a 300 chokes on the last shot and they just throw an absolutely terrible shot at least their first 1 or 2 times. So for my dad, he threw 5 299 games
Jesus Christ.
before he got his first 300. So I was fully expecting that. So it took all the pressure away from me. And then once I struck in the ninth frame, like it sort of started to it started to feel a little real.
Started set in like
Like
fuck
almost like
you, dad. I beat you. Fuck you, dad. I beat your ass. Beat your
yeah.
ass, zero game.
Well, I wasn't there yet. So I told Gavin, fuck, I don't think he cares he listens. I told him to stand off to the side and hey, just record whatever angle you feel is right. Because I was so out of it. I wasn't trying to focus on anything else. I went up there and I watch it on the video now, but I thought I threw terrible shots, but on the video they look great.
Yeah, they don't look.
Yeah.
They
And
look like normal form. How I
yeah,
normally see ball.
yeah, they look good. So and it just worked. Like when the last one struck, I like could not believe it. And I barely even celebrated because there was about nobody there. It was just us, this one family, and like 2 workers behind the counter. That place was dead. And I screamed like fuck yeah. And crickets. Nothing. No one was looking. Besides the boys, they were clapping and it was like, bro, it's like is that it? No fireworks, no.
I'm watching the video. I'm
You're
watching
watching.
the video right now. It's literally just like I hear like a faint "fuck yeah," and then just clapping, and then nothing
Yeah,
else.
it's so dead in there.
Wow, fucking insane though.
What was funny was my grandma called me right as I was about to go bowl the 10th frame. And
Fuck you, grandma.
if you strike out in the 10th frame, you get 3 balls. So I still had a lot of work to do. You're echoing by the way.
Sorry.
So she called me. I'm like, "Grandma, I'm about to bowl 300."
All right, should be fair.
Test test test. Okay, it's good. I'll just cut this part out.
Oh, you're fine. It's just because my I have my headset off partially because I'm trying to listen for something else. No, you're fine
16,
now. I put it.
18.
I put it. I put it.
I'm just marking that for his timestamp. So my grandma called, and I'm like, "Grandma, I'm about to go for this 300 right now. I can't talk." And she's like, "What? What? What?" And I had to take her off a speakerphone. She was gonna be too distracting. And you can hear it at the end of the video. I'm like, "Grandma, I just bowled a 300," and she just goes crazy. Uh, it's such a good feeling because it, no one there was like, besides the boys, no one there was like caring about it.
Give
But
a shit.
yeah, but my family are bowlers and they cared. I guess
I
that
wish I.
mattered more. I called my parents, and my mom started crying, and my dad couldn't even believe it. He's like, "How did you not choke like I did?" Oh my god, it was such a good feeling though. And then we ended up going out to dinner with my grandma. That's a whole nother thing, because
Wholesome bowling story.
yeah. But unfortunately, when we were at that dinner, my grandma choked on her steak, and I had my arms around her to give her the Heimlich, and then she ended up coughing it up. But like, that was almost a terrible end to such a good night.
Oh wow, that's no words. I mean, at least she's okay.
Yeah. But other than that, it was a great night.
Other than my grandma almost dying in my arms.
And then, fun fact: on Tuesday, I had the front nine again, and I choked this time for some reason. Maybe it's because I was thinking about it and people were watching. It wasn't quite so dead. Yeah, I
only get
absolutely
only
choked.
get one. Only get one of them.
Yeah. There'll be more,
I want
I'm
to
sure.
see one. I want to see one.
You're gonna see one if you come on Tuesday. That's
If
a
I don't work,
threat.
if I don't work, I will. That I will.
Okay.
Um. Well, very wholesome bowling story though.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do this a little different here. This is kind of like a game. um. So, the next topic we will be discussing and or rather talking about. It's discussing. Never mind. Conspiracy theories. Now, I have a couple that I've gathered from some websites. Um, so I'm just going to jump into the first one, and we'll go from there. So, the 1969 moon landing. Um,
Oh god.
so there's two
Fake.
sides of it. There's two sides of it. Obviously, like it happened. Like, oh, America, fuck yeah. And then there's the other people that think that it is it's fake because for starters, like they have fucking like prop lights that got reflected in like the mirror, like the windows. They were just like, I don't know, like you think if I don't know, what's your take on it?
My take is that they had not even a fraction of the technology they would have needed in order to make it seem convincing at that time. It would have just taken so much to do. And I have watched some videos on debunking the conspiracies, but I can't remember many of the valid arguments. Something about very specific lighting that you literally could not reproduce with studio lights unless you had like $1 billion like laser. I don't know. They described it in the video, but you needed an insanely overcomplicated and not invented at that time, more importantly,
Yeah.
lighting setup in order to recreate it
Well,
perfectly.
you gotta realize in 1969, 1970, more like they had technology that the public still doesn't even know about to this day. Like, think about it. In 1950, they had fighter jets that couldn't even go supersonic, right? And then when was the SR-71 like made? Like 1965. That thing
Jeez,
goes
that's
Mach
early.
3. Hold
It's
on. When's
much
the
later than that. What? There's no way.
hold on.
Uh,
Uh
1966. What?
yeah. So like
What? That
in the
thing's like
span of like
space
less
age.
than in 10 years, they made, something that can go Mach 3, which is I don't even know how many miles per hour Mach 3 is.
Several
That's
thousand.
like okay, it's 700. Wait, hold on.
Mach 1
Yeah,
is
three
like
thousand.
700 miles an hour.
Yeah, 3,000 miles per hour. That's fucking insane. So like, I kind of believe it, but like the lighting though, that kind of doesn't make sense because outer space is kind of not lit up.
But so, like, you kind of believe the conspiracy theorists' point or the
Uh,
moon landing point?
I feel like it did happen,
Okay.
honestly, because
Because you could have swayed the rapidly expanding technology either either to the way of, oh well, we could have realistically had rockets by then, or we could have realistically had secret technology that is powerful enough to
I feel like
recreate
it was
it
just
by
the
then.
sun. Like because like the sun lights up the moon all the time, except for when the moon and sun are
Turns around.
yeah. So like I mean I guess it depends on because if you look at photos of it, like you notice like the moon is half lit, and then the other side of it's completely black. So like I don't know. I believe it happened.
I'd hope so. I feel
I
like
mean,
with
even if
most
it did,
conspiracy theories, it spreads from a lot of misinformation and a general lack of like guided education.
yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is even if I didn't do it in 1969, they did it like at least 15 times after that for real.
Yeah.
So
So like, why would they fake it the first time?
exactly, that's what I'm saying. But
Also,
I don't
how
know.
would they have gotten it perfectly right the first time without having
Exactly,
been there?
exactly. So that you wouldn't be able to do it 15 more times in a row after that if it didn't happen. So I believe it happened. That's just my take on it.
Turns out the moon's been like purple this whole time and they've been lying to us.
Thanos, man. So what? So do you believe it or not believe it?
I believe the moon landing very much did exist.
Okay, okay. Now this is more of a different conspiracy theory. Um, the Paul McCartney is dead conspiracy theory with the Elvis Presley is alive theory. Um, so I'll give backstory on both of them. I've looked at this one because it caught me off guard. So
How old would
apparently,
they be now?
okay, Paul McCartney currently he's still alive, by the way.
Uh,
Um, Paul McCartney would be 80 years old, and Elvis would be um, he would be like 87 right now.
okay, so that's not out of the realm of possibility for him.
Um, so I'll start with Paul McCartney first. So apparently this is how the story goes. In 1966, Paul McCartney got into a car crash on one of the recordings of their new and upcoming album, either Revolver or the Sergeant Pepper's thing, and got into a car crash. There's actually pictures of Paul McCartney, with his lip bust open, his tooth like chipped and whatnot. Um, and a group of college kids noticed a bunch of apparent clues in albums that the Beatles made. Like for example, on the Abbey Road album, Paul McCartney is walking barefooted across the road while everybody is like in attire for like a funeral. Like I don't know the one to the left is wearing all denim, which would be the people the grave digger. Paul McCartney, obviously with no shoes. The drummer Ringo is wearing all black. She's the priest, and John Lennon's wearing all white, which I don't know what that would have to do with anything. Apparently, if you replay some Beatles songs backwards, you hear clues like "Paul's dead," "Turn to Me, Old Dead Man," or whatnot. And yeah, all of it. And apparently, they made fun of the conspiracy theories because they just added more into their songs. So,
Which is kind of funny.
um,
So
obviously, Paul McCartney is not dead. Oh, and when they play,
he's a
I forgot about
skinwalker.
this one. Skinwalker. Apparently, in the Sgt. Pepper's album, they give the name of the guy who replaced Paul McCartney, which is Billy Shears, apparently, from what I'm reading off of this um, little article thing I have up. I don't believe Paul McCartney's dead because if he was dead, that would have made headlines in 1966.
Yeah, I feel like this one's not necessarily a very like based on any evidence kind of one.
It's more of
It's like an
like a
inkling
folk
people have.
tale.
And
um,
also, when you listen to songs backwards, most people do not hear anything in them. They have to be told what it sounds like
and then
before they
they,
can hear it.
they say that does sound like I killed myself in 1987.
Yeah, but like it's like the
I listen to other songs too. Like in Pink Floyd, they have in one of their most famous songs. I forgot what it's called though, but I know it's in one of their most famous songs. They have something alluding to somebody's death.
okay, well, I'm not talking about any intentional ones they did after the fact as like a joke. But it's like those it's like those trends recently where it's Bart Simpson bouncing, this is not piracy. Like it's like the same sound played over and over again, and
Yeah,
you could switch between a whole different set of lyrics that you hear. And there's a bunch of them. I feel like it's even easier when it's words played backwards, so it doesn't really resemble a whole lot of anything.
yeah. And honestly, you know what? If Paul McCartney did die, whoever replaced Paul McCartney obviously would have lived up to his legacy. Paul McCartney still makes music to today.
Well, yeah, like
Like,
what's the point in having him live?
like, like the guy that quote unquote would be replacing Paul McCartney did better than like the Beatles, Paul McCartney.
yeah,
Like this guy
bitch, they
made
should have just hired him and admitted to it.
yeah, like this guy formed like one of the best bands after the Beatles to even exist, Wings, like made groundbreaking songs. Like even if it was Paul McCartney's replacement, whoever did it did a very good job. Like lived up to his
That
name.
bitch should have died 87 years ago.
I don't believe Paul McCartney's dead. I don't believe that one bit. But
Neither do I. Not in the slightest.
so we all know what happened to Elvis. He obviously overdosed on a toilet in 1977.
I didn't
Um
know that.
yeah, well so Elvis in the 70s was like a cokehead essentially. And Elvis is like he's up there. He's with the Beatles, he's with Buddy Holly, you know, he's up there with the rock and rollers of that time.
Mhm.
Like, everybody knows Elvis. Everybody. Um, Arguably, he was one of the most, if not the famous person to ever, make music. At least in America. I don't really think he did much good in other countries, but he was like household name in America. Um, he was very popular. So people think that Elvis faked his death. They get away from the fame because it's too much. Um,
Hmm.
apparently, people has reported seeing him at his Graceland residence as a groundkeeper. Apparently,
Why would he go back? If he's trying to get away from the life, why would he be a groundskeeper there
well,
and
if
still be in
if
the paparazzi?
if I'm I don't
It
know if
just
I'm
doesn't
correct
make
on saying
sense.
I don't know if I'm correct on saying this, but I think Graceland. So Graceland was his residence, but I think now it's like a museum dedicated to Elvis. So I I I, I don't think that Elvis is alive. If he did fake his death, he's probably dead by now. Like
Yeah.
87 is a very long time to live, especially considering the fact that he's done a bunch of drugs and towards the end of his life in 1977 he was obese. So I don't think he's alive. I think he died in 1977 on the toilet.
Is there any other like evidence that they can point towards besides just,
Other
oh,
than
we
this,
saw Elvis as a groundskeeper?
other than seeing people that look like Elvis, no.
There's a
And
lot of people, so that's not a valid point.
on his gravestone, um, there's either a letter missing or a letter that's added on to his middle name, Aaron. I think so. That other than that, that's really the all the evidence they got. He died.
Yeah.
If he didn't die, he's already dead. So
Yeah, I
nah,
don't believe that a lot.
I think both of these conspiracy
I
theories
feel like
are
my opinion will stay with that for just about every conspiracy theory because conspiracy conspiracy theories, like, almost by definition have to be a,
like
not,
confirmed thing.
no, like a very unconfirmed thing. It sort of goes against the
Yeah,
common.
okay, yeah. The definition of a
mm,
conspiracy theory is like something that's fake but sounds good.
yeah, like, if it was a convincing conspiracy theory, it wouldn't be a conspiracy theory. It would just be like a semi
Believable.
disputed fact. It would be an unsolved mystery at that point.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a theory. It'd be confirmed. Like fucking on paper.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
I'm trying to think of some of them that are a lot more believable. There
well,
have been,
there,
not
there might
necessarily,
be there might be some wa- hollow or flat Earth.
I'm
Now,
talking
people,
believable.
okay, like actually believable. Okay,
Like, there are stories about, like, military, not like doing aliens or anything crazy
oh, like
like that.
Area
Like
51.
stuff that could be legitimately normal. Like, they're just coming up with new aircraft. Like, that's literally the whole point of Area 51, is that they're
Well, when
making top secret aircraft.
I actually saw a video on this today about the SR-71 Blackbird. They had this like they built this like huge box on a semi truck, right? And they loaded the SR-71 up.
Into
It's
a
like
fucking box.
it's like a huge fucking box. Like, hold on,
I'd
I
have
will.
to take up like lanes of road. What?
It does. So let me give you some context about the SR-71 Blackbird. Um.
Which is like the
Hold on.
coolest plane ever. I was like in
The
love with it as a kid.
um. So the aircraft was 107 feet long and had a wingspan of 55 feet, and it stood 18 foot tall. Not to mention that its takeoff weight was 140,000 pounds. Like this thing was this thing was heavy. So
But it could
just
carry its weight pretty well.
imagine a 55-foot like wide box. Like hold on, I want to find.
Do you want to talk about the Blackbird a little bit?
Yeah, sure. We can.
We got some
This is
time.
um. I want to find this image I saw.
Okay. Until you get that, I'll tell some of the stuff I know. So, as far as I know, some like interesting facts about it. So, this plane was developed as sort of like to avoid radar. This thing could fly so high, so
85,000 feet.
fast.
85,000 feet in the air to
Yeah,
be exact.
yeah. Its radar signature was engineered to be pretty small, so it was hard to detect. But
It
even
was
if it,
it was an 100-foot radar
yeah,
cross section, which
which
is
is,
impressive for that time.
yeah, there have been smaller with some crazy ass spy planes, but
Oh, with
it wasn't,
The B-2 bomber has the cross section of a honeybee.
yeah, which is like insane. But it's less about not being able to be detected. It's just there were not missiles capable of getting this thing. It
Yeah,
it was the fastest at the time, correct? It was
probably.
probably the fastest for quite a
No,
while.
there's like test beds that they tested that went Mach 5, but didn't really.
Like a fully functional
Fastest
aircraft, though.
production, fastest production aircraft would be this. I'm pretty sure. Still
Yeah. So it could just about outrun
is to
most
this day, in fact.
anti-aircraft stuff that that primarily Russia could come up
Yeah,
with.
Russia, China, North Korea. North Korea was actually the first country to almost shoot it down.
Really, I actually didn't know that.
Apparently, I they launched a missile, and it was like 50 feet away from it. So they almost shot. I sent pictures of this fucking box, by the way, fucking huge.
Wow. Okay.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty large.
this aircraft was like if it could go faster, but if it went faster, like the engine would start to tear itself apart because there's two cones on the intakes that go in and out depending on how fast it goes. If it's extended all the way out, that means it's going like normal speed. But but these things can go all the way in, and that's for like Mach 3 flight. Thing's fucking insane.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is that the panels on the SR-71 Blackbird,
They're plastic, aren't they?
I don't know exactly what they're made of, but they
Because
expand when they're in the high heat
yeah,
of the drag created because it's going so fast. And a lot of airplanes store fuel in their wings, especially jets. So
like
when it,
like a fuel tank. I know
yeah,
where you're getting with this. They store them in a fuel tank
yeah.
that
But
doesn't expand.
so when it's on the ground, because this plane was pushing so much of the limits of material technology in the day, they had to have such large gaps between the panels for them to
They
expand.
just formed. They formed. They weren't like that originally. Like the gaps formed over time
Okay,
because they
that I didn't know. I thought they were designed with some leeway so they could expand. All I know is that it leaks fuel when it's
yeah.
not going supersonic.
Listen, the good news is that the fuel is not like if it's very hard to catch the fuel on fire. It's not normal fuel for like like the average typical fighter jet. It's fighter jets now and like then run off like I think it's called like E5 fuel. This thing ran off like E7 fuel. Like this thing was insane. Yeah, because the whole aircraft it didn't have like fuel tank. The aircraft itself was the fuel tank. So that's why fuel leaked constantly from it because there wasn't like a tank that could expand with it. Because the plane was made out of titanium, but some parts were made out of this plastic composite material, like the black parts of it. That's that material. Yeah, that aircraft, and they also had like different variants of it too. They made like 35 spy planes, five you know jet interceptors, which that would be scary as fuck to get intercepted by one of those things. And then they made like I don't know, there was like another one. I think it was just test beds though. But yeah, that I love that aircraft. In fact, for that time, that the camera on that aircraft, you could tell how, like they
It
flew at
was like Google
85.
Maps level imaging.
Yes, they flew at 85,000 feet, and if somebody was doing a peace sign, they could see that peace sign, like with their fingers. They can do that. They can see that, like when they uh,
So
process the
so I just
because
looked up like how safe flying these things in that era was.
not
They
not
never they never got shot down, not a single one of them. But 12 of the 32 um, were destroyed in some way due to just accidents because it was so hard to fly.
um. Here's also a fun fact: 100,000 square miles of the Earth could be taken pictured of per hour. Um, and the length of the film was 10,500 feet. That's a lot of film.
It seems like almost too much. Like
Well,
how
you
did
gotta
they
think
even
about
store all them?
it. There's 10,000 square
Use
miles of
that's
the
really
Earth's
thin.
surface that could get covered per hour. And the film image was 72 miles wide. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot.
Hmm.
The only way that he could shoot down SR-71 Blackbird was when the Russians made a jet called the MiG-25, and if it was right timing and if they were extremely lucky, they could have shot this thing down. But there would have been no way to catch it because the SR-71 goes Mach 3. The MiG 25 goes 2,071 miles per hour. So
They would have had to like know exactly where it was going to go.
which even then they wouldn't have ever been able to catch it.
Does the SR-71 have any conspiracy theories?
It actually doesn't go Mach 3.
It's
It
actually
actually
the
got shot
slowest
down.
aircraft.
Yeah, the Boeing 747 goes Mach 18. Um, I guess we can get into the next ones because this can make our podcast very long if we go through these. This is one I've never heard: vampires and cannibals in the royal family.
Oh, I have also never heard of that.
Yeah, I've never.
Did you
Okay,
do
how
any
about
like research on it?
I'm reading this. This doesn't sound right. How about this? Did the royal family kill Princess Diana?
That I'm kind of more knowledgeable in.
Um, well, it honestly I don't think the royal family did it. I think Prince Charles most definitely tried to do something
So she was kind of controversial.
at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, she
What?
was just such a free thinker for her time. But she did
I
so
think
much good
she
stuff,
was married too. I think previously.
like before royalty.
Yeah,
That I
because
don't know. I don't
there's a role in the royal family where you cannot, like, if you're part of the royal family and you want to marry, the other person can't be married, or they can't have a divorce. Like, you either get one while they were never married, or you don't get it at all. I think she was married. Like, the Princess Diana was groundbreaking at that time. Like, she like shown a little bit of leg, elbows, maybe a little bit of cleavage.
know. A little.
Like like she made the royal family more down to earth. Like, with her kids, like, she took them to McDonald's. Like, and made them go to public school. That has never happened in the royal family.
I mean, yeah, it's like she just didn't care about all the like
Tradition
pomp,
rules.
like pomp and circumstance of all the like royal garbage. She seemed like an actual normal person.
She was. And then they got divorced.
And then the funny thing happened,
Yeah, like
the
literally,
goofy incident.
while the king, Charles, and his current wife, Camilla, I think her name, Camilla, I don't know her name.
I have no clue.
Yeah. So, yeah, other than that, some people
Well, we
apparently
can
think
go into more specifics about like why people think. So essentially, what was happening was she wasn't driving, but
she was driving with some, like, she was in a limo, quite essentially,
yeah, it was like a personal caddy.
in Paris.
She was in the back with I don't even know who exactly it
It
was.
was somebody of
It
importance,
was
but
some royalty guy.
not as important as her.
Yeah.
And they were in
And
Paris, by the way.
and her her bodyguard was in the front with the driver. And apparently there was paparazzi following them and they were trying to go at night to avoid paparazzi. So when they were driving, apparently paparazzi on motorcycles went ahead of them and used flash photography. And supposedly this caused the driver to lose like either side of the road or focus or whatnot. And they hit a pillar on when they were going on in this tunnel. They had support pillars in the middle of the tunnel because it was a divided road, and they hit this support pillar, and it like killed her, but not the guy in the front seat.
Yeah.
And the way in which the police handled it
Well, the
seemed
driver
kind of
died.
fishy.
Everybody in the car except the bodyguard died.
Yeah, the bodyguard didn't really
I
know
think
too
the
much.
bodyguard was quoted to say that, like, apparently the driver was saying the brakes weren't working. So people think that MI6 cut some brake uh, pedals,
But
some
even
brake.
still, like it's not like he was going infinitely fast. Like, unless he was terribly speeding, he should have just been able to
I
roll the
think they
car
were.
to a stop.
I read that they were speeding
But it, like,
60 miles per hour. I think.
like, even still, like, so much that it would cause you to go into the middle of a pillar in the road.
See, 60 miles per hour into a concrete pillar. I mean,
Oh, I'm not debating that it was a definitely bad crash, but, like, I don't feel like if the brakes were out, it would have caused him to crash.
I feel like
Like,
I
many
feel
people have
this
been
is
fine
one of the
without
conspiracy
brakes.
theories that I believe, because, like, what I think happened was that some agency that works for the British government probably like had a strobe light, flashed it, and I believe that the brakes were cut, quite possibly, and yeah, I believe it. I believe that she was killed. I believe she was assassinated rather than she obviously died, but I believe that there was some meddling in there for sure, so that Prince Charles can get married again. Because that was the rule, I'm pretty sure. If you divorce when you're royalty, the only way you can marry is if the other divorcee dies.
That I didn't know. Okay, that provides a lot more
I watched a couple
credibility to
episodes
it.
of the Crown, so I kind of understand
Okay.
what some of the rules are. But yeah, I believe she got assassinated. I don't think that it was. I don't think it was an accident. I think it was.
It was only a year after their divorce, apparently.
Yeah. Anyways, so I believe. Yeah, I believe that. I actually believe that conspiracy theory.
It's a lot closer to reality than most of them
Well, I'll let
because the facts aren't all there. You know, like
yeah.
something does actually seem
There,
fishy.
it's like the 9/11 thing, which we can get into a whole fucking rabbit hole of 9/11. To end off my my topic, I'll do like a kind of funny one. Um, apparently there's a Reddit thread that it's a theory that Finland is a fictional landmass.
What? Like like Finland's
Finland,
Pangea.
yeah. Like no, it's just fictional.
Oh, like
It's
it's just not
not
real
even
at all. Okay.
and contorted by the Japanese and Soviet Union during the Cold War in an effort to secure fishing rights in the Baltic Sea, apparently.
Hmm.
Um,
That's why Finland only popped up in the Cold War. Wow, it all just makes sense now.
Finland's
Finland didn't
population
exist before
is
then.
apparently made up of people from eastern Sweden, northern Estonia, and western Russia. Like, there's no Finnish people. It's just either Swedish, Estonian, or Russians.
So what
And
about all the people that lived there forever?
I don't know, but apparently it's likely it began from a joke.
Yeah, I think it's just Reddit pulling a Reddit moment.
But I don't know. That's just a weird one.
Yeah, I don't think that one is even in contention
Okay,
by
that
anyone with
was quick.
half a
I'll
brain.
do the last one. Apparently, Ripley's. Do you know Ripley's Believe It or Not, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's based on entire like fact. Like apparently, everything in their books are fact.
Okay,
Like
maybe I'm misremembering the Ripley's.
so like it's like a like somebody that can open their mouth all the way and fit like a whole 2 liter thing of soda in their fucking mouth. And like people that can bend their fingers in 8 different ways, like freaks essentially.
Mhm.
Um, apparently that I don't even know.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Apparently yeah, all of it's just true. Like I don't know if Ripley's Believe It or Not like said that like half of the shit's fake, but I guess there's conspiracy theories out there that are stating that it's actually all true.
Some of it's probably based on real people because there are some people with crazy talent, like freak show level kind of people.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So that's the end of my long ass topic. We already probably at like an hour of that. It's gonna
Okay.
be a long episode. Buckle in.
My section's not going to be very long, I don't think. So, I really didn't come prepared on this topic, but I don't know. We've just been getting back into Minecraft pretty recently, and
We
I don't know.
meaning like him and the boys. I don't like
Yeah,
Minecraft that much right now.
you'll come around to it.
I like creative mode. I don't really like survival that much. I mean, survival's fun for like a month, and then it gets boring.
Yeah, a month's a long time. Long enough for me. But yeah, every time we start up a survival world, everyone gets super invested in it for it really depends on the person. It could be a day or two, couple, like a week, a couple weeks, and then usually just once people start slowly fading from it, everyone forgets about it. And then when you come back to the game, say in a couple months
Like a
or
whole
even
new
a couple years, no one wants to replay the world they were in. They want to start fresh because they don't remember anything they did. And it's just a repeating cycle of not being able to make any progress because I don't know. I've done just about all you can in survival mode, but there's a lot of unfinished projects I had
as with
in
every
yeah,
Minecraft server we had.
yeah. Like I always take up large projects and then everyone leaves once
Like
I
Jesus,
start
like
ev-
the fucking landmass that I had ideas for in that one survival world
yeah, and
was
then you stop
insane.
playing. I feel like
Like
you should have started smaller.
and worked my way up. I don't know. I like take many of you probably don't know because I've only live streamed this one time, whole existence of this world. This I have this creative world that is at least I would say 10 years old, longer than that. It was on 360, and then I converted it over to the Xbox. So
Mhm.
I don't even know how old it is. It's old.
Just for
It's a
context, I have been in this world.
um. This world is massive. There is so much shit going on in this world. So many unfinished products. So many like just buildings like that I've made. A couple of my friends made, but like mostly I've made.
Yeah, essentially, it's a fuck fucking huge city, and
Yeah,
you had at the time you had no clue how to use commands, even
there
though
was
now that
put
you
it this
know
way:
them, they're not
for
that
three
hard.
cities, mine was the most developed. My other friends, they had like a smaller thing going on, but mine is the most developed. Not trying to
Yeah,
brag. 'Cause
and
it's
these like
quick.
these skyscrapers are they're not detailed skyscrapers that you would expect out of like a finished map, but also you're not like a map maker or like a professional builder, so like it's not expected. But like to make all this stuff by hand without commands or world edit or any sort of
Well,
tools is
these were
insane.
made. These were made during, I would say, 2017. Like a bulk of those skyscrapers. So the newer skyscrapers that you can obviously tell are newer, they have a lot more detail in them. Like a lot more detail than like the stone brick skyscrapers that are just big boxes.
Uh,
There's skyscrapers now like that are newer built, obviously, that have different color blocks and like different kind of roofs and fucking insane. I've spent so fucking long in that world. A little too long, I feel.
Well, I mean, I feel like you should finish up the projects you have, and they'll keep you occupied for another
Dude,
decade.
another decade. I
And
still have
then
I
put
have
it to
this
rest.
build going. I have this build going. It's a palace. I'm invested in it. I want to finish this on stream. Like that's the goal of mine, to finish this palace on stream.
Just talk about.
This palace is humongous.
Yeah,
I think I
like it's
you've seen,
unrealistically large. Like,
well I'm basing this upon the French palace of fuck. It's a French palace. It's like a huge French palace. Forgot what it's called.
is it the one Princess Diana was leaving right before the
Mm,
car crash? That would be kind of ironic, considering.
the Palace of Versailles.
Okay,
That palace.
a very famous.
It's This palace is huge, by the way. So I'm trying to replicate that, but like make it my own. This is one of the most detailed buildings I think I've ever attempted to build. Like I'm just building the outside walls right now. I'll do interior later, but like it it's pretty like it's pretty advanced for what I think I can do. I think I did pretty well on the building so far.
That's
But
fair
that
enough.
I can tell you how many hours I've been on Minecraft. And I can tell you a good chunk of them probably would be on that world. Because like I used to play this world with like this my old friend, and me and her just spent like we could spend like 25 like just like all day on the world and not go to bed. Yeah, I have 41 days played on this game, and I, I can humbly say that 35 of those days were spent on that world, at least.
I feel like that's far more than I've ever put into any specific will. I know I've put like more into some worlds than I have into some AAA games. Like I wouldn't be surprised if most survival worlds I have 60 plus hours in.
Well, the sad thing is, like you said earlier, I had no idea what command blocks were. Yeah, I realize this. I have a whole ocean in my world. I have a whole like river system, stream system, farm system. I have fucking like I painstakingly blew up every single bit of grass just to put water down. Painstakingly put water down too. Painstakingly took my diamond hoe, dug the ground, planted seeds, bone marrowed them, all by hand, dug out the ground, put like black, concrete down for roads. Everything I've done up until the palace era, which was like a couple months ago, was done by hand.
You probably didn't have black concrete at the time, is it? It's probably black wool, if I had to guess.
No, it's concrete. No, it's
Okay,
concrete.
so
Concrete
the
was like
roads were a
because
more recent-ish addition.
not too recent, but not too like old either.
Yeah.
I have this like I don't know. I like this town square that I have a couple of my like personal things in. Like it's like It would be essentially my ideology of like what I believe a government should be like. It's like a whole fucking capital city of like some random country that hasn't even like named or made yet. I would say it's one of the it it's it's fascinating if you see it. I think
Yeah.
it's a I
I've
think it's
I've been in it and I can speak for that. It is so large, but I is there even a finished building there? Like
um
that's kind of the sad part is that like you never got to finish any of it.
there might be it's all hollow shells with floors that don't have any like furniture in them. There's a lot of finished buildings, but they don't have interiors like you know steps with signs on the sides for chairs and shit like that. They don't have anything like that.
Hmm.
But a good chunk of them are lit up, have like lights, floors, doors. Um, I say I do have to pat myself on the back for this one. It is one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen on Minecraft in night. Because I also painstakingly put down street lights every like 10 blocks on the sidewalk. I do say that it looks extremely well in the at nighttime.
So on PC they have certain mods where you can essentially remove all render distance. It would be pretty cool to see the city from above without any render distance at
I would
all.
love to.
You get like a final top down view. It'd probably help with planning and stuff as well.
I mean, this like no no. This is like for a base from what it was back in like 2014, 13 to what it is now. Like, oh my god, me and my friends started that as like making little military bases, and like the the amount of flying we had to do to get to one like to my base to his was insanely. We planned that to be insanely long.
Is this a separate world?
No, 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 no. This is in
Oh,
the
so
same
it's
world.
in there
Like
somewhere.
like that, like the wood, like the stuff that looks like a mid-century,
I don't know. It's been a
medieval.
while.
Um,
I couldn't
it's my
remember that
old,
specific.
my old. Like basically, it's like way over. Like now, there's like, it's just insane. I have like apartments, skyscrapers. I have a military base for Christ's sake. Could be turned into an airport. I have like this stadium. Oh my god. And so much has changed on the world too, because like there's three cities in that world. There's my city and my two other friends. They both had their individual city. I
I'm
had this huge.
surprised no data got corrupted in any of the transfers or updates or anything.
Well, when it got transferred over to Xbox One, it was basically just the two small bases. Like the building that you spawn in when you enter that world.
Yeah, because I could only do that once. Because once you spawn in, it saves where you were last.
Well, that building, that's the only building I ever had. That was my first building. And then I built the roads based upon where that building was. I started basically just like digging in random directions and stuff like that. Because at first I didn't really have like a water system planned out. And then I got bored, started blowing up a bunch of shit, and that's what I was left with. Like it's fucking wild. I will be streaming on this world some point in time. Whenever I get
Hopefully
really
soon.
bored,
You
I'll
should
be
stream
streaming
it.
the finishing of the palace, and I might finish that world. Might expand upon that world. Who knows? I have some ideas for skyscrapers that I want to copy, but might take some time to do that. Yeah, I wouldn't mind actually streaming that world. So
Yeah. So we're getting close to our usual time. Do you want to
oh,
forgo this last topic or just talk
it's
about it
fun.
quick?
We can talk, but just talk. I don't really give a shit. I feel like
Okay.
we're just. I feel like this is like natural, and this is like something that's like good.
A little more vibey.
Yeah, we can actually. We're actually talking instead of like being weird.
I mean, we're still weird. That never went away.
I think that the next topic is. Yeah, we ourselves are weird. Um, so I guess our man, you chose the Minecraft topic, but yet I dominated that topic.
Yeah, I didn't have anything really prepared.
I didn't either. I kind of just you kind of gave me the idea of my city because I completely forgot about it actually until now.
Not much else really has happened interesting with Minecraft besides I don't know, I've just
Yeah,
been
like the five
playing it for like
updates.
my whole life.
They had like five updates apparently that never came out. Like I'm still waiting for camels to be added. Like
Ain't no one care
fucking
about no camels.
camels and like the signs that can get hanging by chains and shit and like big frogs or whatever they had.
They
I'm
have
still,
frogs in the game now.
oh they do.
Yeah, I killed one like
Oh,
earlier.
they're pulling a rock star and like releasing content little by little.
Drip feed.
Yeah.
Except
Because
for,
like I saw this thing where you can like hang signs off a chain now, apparently.
I didn't know.
Like I saw that. I don't even know if that's a thing. There's like four mobs that were supposed to be added. I don't even know if that's a thing.
One of the things I'm most excited for, and I only got to see it earlier today, and I hadn't seen it. Apparently everyone has that I talked to. But they're going to be adding a very, not complex, but a system where you take these little templates, and depending on which template you use and what material you combine it with, you can put trim of various colors and patterns on
Oh,
your
on armor.
armor.
Yeah, I've seen
And
that
that
on
shit
Minecraft.
looks so cool. Like, oh my god.
Can't wait to get netherite armor again just to, try to
Yes.
make a cool pattern with it and then get bored with it.
Honestly, it's nice. And there's a bunch of other quality of life stuff that come along with it, along with that update. So that one I'm looking forward to, but they've really dropped the ball on some of these past updates. They
The last
fumbled.
update, last update I really liked was the fucking axolotl thing.
Yeah, but it feels like they're adding like just garbage filler content that adds like nothing to the game of any
Yeah, I'm feeling
significance.
that.
Like,
I'm
oh,
not
let's add
liking it.
this cute thing. Like, hey, vote community on this stupid thing that nobody wants. Like, oh my god.
Last good update on Minecraft was honestly my take on it was when they added the pillagers.
That was a banger update. The whole villager rework and trading. The Nether update, in my opinion, was
That was
one of
cool.
the best updates they've added recently. It added so much stuff to the game. Like, why can't every update be the Nether update?
I like this thing with the whatever the fuck this thing is. I don't even know. It's like the big fucker, the warden.
Yeah, that it's it's cool. And if have you like played around with it in creative or whatnot?
Fine.
Yeah, but the atmosphere it creates, the whole idea of stealth, is amazing. But killing the warden gives you absolutely nothing. He's
Which
meant
it
to be
has,
this like crazy hard to defeat boss that
like the
you're not
whip.
supposed to kill, though. Like it doesn't give anything good. It is almost inarguably harder than the Wither in a lot
More
of
ways
ways.
because that thing can literally disappear.
Yeah. Like the Wither is stupidly hard on console for no reason. Like it's literally coded harder than on PC. But that warden is I have never been able to kill it with any combination of tools I've given myself in survival mode.
It's just like I don't know, like netherite. You can't even kill it with a netherite sword with like sharpness 4 on it.
It just has so much health, does so much damage, and just knows where you are and gives you permanent blindness. It's just crazy. And the loot down there ain't even that good. Like,
Yeah, not even to mention like you get tunnel vision every time it sees you.
yeah. And the stealth in that is awful. Stealthing around there is practically impossible.
Because every block like looks the same.
Yeah. If
You can't
you
really
if
walk
you aren't
past one.
crouch walking, you will make noise. If he gets too close to you, apparently he can like sort of hear your heartbeat and he'll like start wailing on you. You have to like if you want to go down a block since you're crouching, you can't uncrouch. So you have to like place a carpet underneath of you. You have to do so many stupid workarounds for like mediocre loot. But the place looks so cool and the atmosphere is really cool. But it didn't add anything good.
Cool idea, but how it
Yeah,
implemented was
poor
just stupid.
execution.
Hell, I think my favorite update was when they added fucking back in the day when they added glowstone.
Really?
Yeah, like they had like
I don't
different
know what
colors,
else came with that update.
like
That's
different
so
kinds of
long ago.
wood. Like they had like oak and spruce and different kinds of doors. That was a
But
fucking banger, bro. I remember that shit on Xbox 360.
I didn't get updates for the most part. So I was essentially offline with my 360.
How mine
So
was for a long time though. Um, so I guess we're talking about games. We can talk about some obscure games we like
yeah.
games that are really not well known, but like obviously are known because we played them. Um, I don't know. What are some of yours?
So I'm not necessarily a fan of like dungeon crawling games, but there's this game called Moonlighter. It didn't get crazy popular, but it's not like, underground, like never heard before. It's a very nicely polished dungeon crawling game where at the end of every night you bring your stuff back and you have to sell it in your store, and you have to upgrade your store and try to market specific items to specific people, manage supply and demand. And it's half of it's like an inventory management game in the way that a lot of items you pick up in this dungeon will be dropped upon death and have certain curses on them where you can't have some of them are like it will make the item to the top right of it disappear, for example. So you have to have this item slid to the right side of your inventory, top or the top right of your inventory, just so there's nothing in that range and it'll delete. that the item in your inventory. And there's that's just one example, but there's
Basically, the
a
game is a big nuisance.
yeah, but I like it. It makes it a lot more challenging instead of just mindlessly kill stuff and then do it again. Like it makes you think about what you're picking up, where you're putting it, and then how you're gonna sell it. So I think it's a pretty nice game. It's called
Um,
Moonlighter.
one of my we can just go back and forth. I have a couple. Um, it's these are games on Game Pass that I have played because I'm either looking for gamer score or just bored. What Remains of Edith Finch? You know it's a good game when I can remember it. That game is it's like a story based game. It's like this girl Edith Finch. All of her kids died basically, and they all died in like mysterious ways, and but like the kids were gifted kind of. So this girl basically goes to the Finch household and experiences memories from like the kids and like Edith and shit like that. And like, but the memories they she experiences are how the kids essentially died. Like the kids didn't mean to die. Like this one kid was like hallucinating that she was a cat chasing a bird and jumped out her window by accident. But like that, you don't get to see that happen. What
Mm.
what happens is what happened in the kid's mind. So you basically go on this like chase on this bird. Like you fucking chase this bird around, and then somehow you end up in the sea, and you're like a squid sea monster. And like it's like I don't know, it's like about the kids' imaginations. It's a really sad game. I like it. I would play it. It's kind of sad, but like not really, because like the kids don't really have any backstory. But like I don't know, it's just sad because the kids like they thought they were playing, they thought they were having fun, they got their imagination too wild up, and then they actually killed themselves or
Interesting.
got killed.
I don't necessarily care that much for games that it's sort of like you play through a set story. Not that's kind of stupid because I do play a lot of story games. I mean like ones where it feels like a telltale game almost where you're watching a drama unfold.
I love The Walking Dead.
I've that's a fairly popular opinion. I've never played it, but I've heard
Like
from a lot
one
of
of my
people that it's
favorite
good.
games. That's one of my most favorite story-based games, if not one of my favorite games of all time.
Interesting. So
Just,
another
it's like
another
watching a Netflix show, but you get to make decisions. Like
I
you get
heard about
attached
its like
to
production
characters.
quality being very well.
Yeah, like you get attached to these characters and like the story arc. You like beat and then like boom, one of them fucking dies. Like what? Like I started crying some parts of the Walking Dead games. Not the ones with like the ones with Clementine and Lee and all them. Not the ones with Rochelle and like I don't know. Not like the ones based. Not the one that's based off of the TV show. That one sucked ass. Oh no, that's like one of my most favorite games of like all time though.
Interesting. So another game that's fairly obscure that I like. It's on Game Pass. It's called Minecraft. If you've never heard of it, no, I'm just joking. The Long Dark.
I think I've
Uh,
heard of it.
you've probably seen me stream it. Maybe you haven't seen me stream it, but I've talked about streaming it. It is an incredibly difficult survival game. It's mainly a story game, but the story's trash. Don't play it. But the survival mode of this game is insanely difficult wilderness survival, and I don't know why I like it so much, but it feels like anytime I'm playing it, I have to like leave a party, like I can't be talking to anyone, and I just like listen to the actual game itself, and I just vibe with it. It's it makes you feel so like isolated
Yeah.
that it would feel wrong to be doing like other stuff being distracted.
Talking
Like
to the boys.
yeah, like you got to turn down the lights. Like get you have to really get into it. But it's also permadeath. It's permadeath, really tough survival, and it feels like every time you die, you've learned like a bunch. And your
Oh
runs
god.
could last anywhere from days to seconds, depending on how good you are and what difficulty you're playing on. So you have to sort of strike a balance with how you're playing it.
Yeah, I like games like that, but then they get me mad every time I die. Um, I would
The
say, I don't know, games like that kind of piss me off. Not gonna lie.
the way I was playing it initially was the wrong way. Well, there's not like there's a wrong way to play, but like I played on the easiest difficulty available, and I was able to. I was I was learning a lot, but I wasn't really challenged, and I wasn't putting myself into tough situations.
Yeah.
And then when I eventually died due to my lack of like good survival experience, because I was able to get away with so much stupid stuff, I was like days into this run, and I'm like, damn, I just wasted all that time. But the idea is that instead of having like days, weeks long runs, put it to a difficulty that actually really challenges you. So like you're
I
not
love.
losing a ton of progress and you're still getting a tough, challenging experience. It really forces you to learn how to survive. I feel like it'd be easier to survive in real life than in this fucking game. It's kind of stupidly hard.
I would just go to the gas station. They probably get you some free food.
Yeah.
Um, um, there's a lot of games I played on Game Pass. I will just blurt these two out because there's not really much to do with them. One's called Donut Country or Donut County, and then one's called Fractured Minds. Donut County is like a cute game. That's like I literally don't even know what it is. All I know is that I like it and it's cute. But Fractured Minds is like a trippy, like what's the word I'm looking for? You're not in heaven, you're not in hell. Purgatory. You're like in a purgatory type thing in Fractured Minds, and you just have to like get out of purgatory, kind of. I think. Yeah. All I know is that I like those games. I don't remember much about them. All I know is I like them.
Sort of
That
like
makes
you're just drifting around.
yeah.
It's interesting. It's a
You
very like
easily you get easy gamer
moody
score
game.
playing those. Like you there's no way you can fail.
Interesting. You said you had two games?
Well, yeah, just those two. I just put them into like one game so you can
Okay.
do yours.
I'm still looking because I didn't. This wasn't my topic,
Yeah,
so
I'll just say my other one. I'm really in like I don't know if it's really obscure, but like I don't see a lot of people playing it. I love War Thunder. Like War Thunder has to be one of the most exciting games for me to play.
interesting.
Like,
You could
I don't
talk
know.
a bit more
I
about
like
it.
fighter jets. I like fighter jets and shit like that, and tanks and all that. So like it really interests me. So like I could I've only played probably about like I don't know 100 or so regular matches of War Thunder. What I normally do is literally go into custom matches, fly fast, do like acrobatics, bomb shit, bomb targets and shit like that. That is so fun to me, and I don't know why.
Interesting.
I can just do that for hours.
Yeah, I definitely would not be able to do
It's like War Thunder and GTA are games I can play hours upon hours of them. And then like Modern Warfare, like whatever Call of Duty's out, I like going into custom matches with bots, making classes and just destroying them with them. I like doing that on Call of Duty games. Fortnite I can get into when it's once it's the end of the season. I really can't get into Fortnite at the beginning because like that's when all the sweats are. But yeah, Fortnite, GTA, and War Thunder are like the games I can play forever. Apex, I don't really mind Apex. It's not obscure. It's just one of the games I like. I like the Crew because I like driving and shit. Crew's a really good driving game.
it. That's good. I've never played the crew, but I didn't they make a fuck ton of those games?
I mean, like three or two. I think I
Okay,
have
never mind then.
the one I play is number one, but I own two on Steam. I want to stream it when I'm like bored. So like driving around, like chill stream.
Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time that I haven't played through the full way yet, but I'd really like to, is called the Talos Principle. And if you're into puzzle games a lot, you
No,
would love this game. I don't know if you are, but if anyone's listening who does,
that's Resident Evil 7. It's like Resident Evil is like not really like a huge puzzle game, but like you need to find a lot of information out. That game pissed me off so much. Like I like when games give you information when it's like blatantly there. It's easier to like understand like where you're going and shit like that. Resident Evil just pissed me off.
interesting. So, as far as the Talos Principle goes, it is it's yeah, it's a puzzle game, but it's got a ton of um it's very Greek mythology, philosophical oriented. Like the puzzles aren't about like philosophy itself. The puzzles are like what you'd expect from a normal 3D puzzle game. They are incredibly difficult depending on what you're playing. So much so that I've spent hours trying to figure them out, and I'd consider myself a really good um puzzler because I play a lot of puzzle games. So, but this one has really challenged me, and the whole point about it is that the Talos principle is a philosophical theory that human not humans robots could be robots or AI could be real thinking people, and you've probably heard of it before, just not called under that name. But you play as a robot completing all these puzzles, and you're essentially contacted. This isn't really spoilers, this is like the whole premise of the game. That you're contacted by this Greek god, Elohim, and he tries to reason with you about your morality. And the way in which they do it is very thought provoking, and I wasn't really expecting it. I've heard great things. It's basically among people who play puzzle games, it's like the highest rated, but it's like 30-40 bucks, but it's worth like every penny. And it made me like deeply think. It's another one of those games just like The Long Dark that I can't play it with like listening to anyone. I just gotta zone out and it just has to be like a standalone experience because it really does make you think.
Yeah, I really don't like using my head. I hate games like that. Like if it's not plain and simple for me, it just kind of pisses me off, so I don't play it.
Yeah. Well, completing the puzzles isn't necessary in order to hear and experience most of the story. So I'd still recommend it for people who at
I'll
least
support
have a little bit of patience. But it is pretty expensive. I waited a long time to buy it, and then I finally bit the bullet and I enjoyed it.
it.
But
Yeah,
it's not for
unfortunately,
everyone.
for those people that have much patience with anything, be an issue.
Well, do you have any last things you want to talk about? Because this
Oh
is
no,
gonna be our by far longest episode.
oh, I'm good. I'm Gucci.
Okay.
Um, well, yeah, that was this. This is going to be our longest. Well, thank you everybody for stopping by and listening to us talk for 1 hour and some odd minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, if you did enjoy it, please follow the Subpar Gamers podcast on every platform that is available that we are on. It's in our link tree, which is linktree/Subpar Gamers. Uh, Follow our social medias and us on our respective platforms. You know, it's usually Hijinks Official, and mine is Hate Staff. Yeah, and if you enjoy, just show your support by following or liking or whatever you guys do on your platforms, and we will catch you next Thursday.
Okay.
Unless one of us are sick.
I don't get sick.
Yeah, I get sick like almost every other day. So, all right, goodbye, everybody.